see about it or hear about it? Of course, we as a Black community have many different challenges, but which one actually keeps you up at night?
I think the biggest thing that keeps me up at night is just, you kind of spoke on it, our subconscious, right? Our subconscious is twisted and shrouded, and we don't have a true sense of Black self.
Got you.
We've been led with this idea of Black, it's taken over. So what keeps me up at night is knowing that we just can't see Black self, right? We can't respect and own Black self or Black love.
Got you. So tell us step by step what your journey was to becoming conscious and aware of who you were as a Black man in America.
It's an interesting story. We'll get him out of the laundry room.
Oh, that's right. Handle your family, man. I ain't even mad at you.
So my journey is I guess you can say it's an interesting one. So I was knocking doors for a while, and I met a girl, and that girl caused me to travel across the country to be with her in Seattle, and we ended up. Well, she hates when I say we, but she got pregnant, and it was both of our first kids, and I'm not a fan of the city. We weren't in the best position, nor were we really making money like that to live lavishly in the city. So we ended up moving back to, we moved back to her hometown, which is Meridian, Idaho. And I think one of the biggest fears I had, because I knew what I was getting myself into in terms of where I was moving, but it's both of our first child. So, I mean, I'd rather have the help than try and do it on my own. But the biggest fear I had is if I move out here, I would lose myself. I've always had a sense of myself as an individual. Like I know who I am as Christopher Evans, but then as a Black man, as an individual, I didn't really have a stronger concept of that. But I feared moving out here that I would lose that. So as I moved out here, it started off very, very small. I think the first pro-Black activist I got into was Dr. Umar Johnson, and he just had a ton of educational stuff out there, and I just I dove deeper and deeper into it, and then that turned me into multiple documentaries throughout YouTube. I became obsessed with Tim Wise and just the perspective and the mindset of a white American, an honest one speaking to it. So I got a couple of his books. I mean, I dove as deep back into the Iceman Inheritance to figure out why the white man is the way he is. I dove deep. I went head first, and I have not come back out. But I think another holdup for me, given my area, there aren't a lot of Black people. I don't know if you guys are too familiar with Idaho, but there aren't many folk out there.
Not many, man.
In the Boise.
So I hesitate when it's like, okay, this is the platform I want, this is the message I want to send out, but who's really picking up this message? I just don't feel like for what I want to do business, I'm not in the right place for business. So then I try and cater it more to the everyone else. I love kids. I love speaking to kids, and I'm a kid myself, right? I'm only 25 years old. I don't want to speak like I'm in my 40s or anything, but I love speaking to kids, high school, middle school, because I don't know, I recall that life and thinking a lot more frequently.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that just didn't make sense, like what in the world moms do that for? What in the world pops do that for?
Yeah.
I still have that thinking, so when I speak to kids, I often see it in their eyes. I see it in the way they speak. I see it in the way that they're being parented. You get out. I need you to get out.
So let me pause you, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
So have you seen the Jane Elliott Brown Eye Blue Eye experiment?
Love that experiment. I love how that little girl broke down.
Understood. So I'm glad you know it, and given where you were at, there are schools that don't need Tim Wise. They actually need you to come in and actually educate you on what racism is or how to interact with people of diverse cultures who aren't like them. And the fact that you're in Idaho, I think put you in a perfect place to be that voice that shows them, one, a different image of a Black man, but also how to interact how a majority interacts with the quote-unquote minority in Idaho, not nationwide, but in Idaho. There are all kinds of opportunities for you to bring that message in, especially in a school environment in today's world, given the conversation that we're having. And that, if I were you, immediately that would be my speaking platform to actually connect with, to use your passion for youth and your passion for helping cultures understand one another in this crazy place called America.
So, let me jump in here too again, because this is Chris. You know I'm about to pick on you too. I'm picking on everybody. Okay, now watch this. So I see a general theme here tonight. To me, I see two things emerging. I see a whole lot of ideas and creativity, and people not sure exactly where to start or where I should jump in because of focus. So focus is difficult to achieve because it requires sacrifice. And sacrifice, sometimes you feel like you're losing. Okay, so what happens is that, but you got to focus on one topic. So I'm seeing this thing, we got all this on one side, and then we have some people with limiting beliefs, stuff that's happened in the past or whatever, something that's internally. With you, Chris, where I am is, tell Julian what your core marketing message is.
Oh man, hold on.
Go get the notes. I know because I saw it Monday.
Right now, Al, I was waiting for you to ask me.
Okay, good. Because what happened is you threw Julian a curveball. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you broaden your perspective, which is no problem. We can talk about anything we want to talk. We just can't talk about everything all at one time.
Right.
Okay, so now tell Julian the core marketing message that you had been working on. You know, the direction you were headed in, so that he can get an idea and understand where you are.
So I got Christopher Evans, helping young people build and protect their digital reputation.
Okay.
Now, so now this is why I'm teasing. I'm messing with y'all tonight because I see what's going on. Y'all got voices, especially the people that's been coming to Great Pro Speakers. You're the second one I've seen do this. So what happens is you have Boyce and Julian on here, and what you all are doing is you have all of a sudden, instead of staying on the track that you're kind of working on, you all are dumping all your ideas all of a sudden on them. And what happens is, I'm not saying y'all can't do them. What I'm telling you, y'all putting them in that's not how this thing works. If you're going to work on helping young people build and protect their digital reputations, and that's what you've been working on, then that's fine. We can start there too. But if you want to start over on the other side of things, okay, where you want to deal with some some unconscious biases, and you would rather deal with them on that side of things, that's fine also. The only thing I'm saying to you all, as you come from Great Pro Speakers over to the Content Creator Codes, and then you're going over there with Boyce, the reason we have you all taking them separately is not so that every time you get one of us there, you give us some whole new stuff. It's so that you can build on them, and so that all of us together can give you a different perspective on what you're working on. So I'm okay with y'all if y'all want to switch lanes. It's your business, whatever you want your marketing message to be. I'm just saying that if you're talking to Julian, or if somebody's been working with Julian and you start talking to me, let's kind of stay on what you all have been working on, because all of us, me and Julian Boyce and Lawrence, we got 10 million ideas, but every one of us started off with one. Right. We put all the rest of them to the side and said, here goes the one thing I'm going to start with. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. But I can't do them all at one time. We need one so you can focus and cut through the market. Y'all got me?
Yep, that's facts. Yeah. And I'm going to say this out real quick. A lot of you have tons of ideas, and you want to know what's the best idea, and this is why we idea hop, especially in the early phases when you haven't actually put skin in the game. You want to know what your best idea is? It's the one that you work on for 10 years. Right. That's your best idea. It's the one that you work on for 10 years. I don't care if you do the digital marketing one. I don't care if you do the digital reputation. I don't care if you do the unconscious bias. Whichever one you work on for 10 years, that's your best idea. That's it. It's not about you. Everybody's waiting for some brand new revolutionary idea. Oh, I got this one idea. You know how many people come at Dr. Watkins, myself, and Al talking about their great idea? The best idea is the one that you work on for 10 years. And so first and foremost, you actually have to be committed to it for 10 years. It has to be so in alignment with your purpose that you're willing to commit at least 10 years to manifesting it. Amazon only started in 1997, y'all. That ain't that long ago. And it started off just as selling books. It looked like a library. That's what Amazon looked like. And now you see what is unfolded. Bezos, he was just committed to the idea. and over 10 years, you start to see, oh, this little thing that started out as books is now expanding into all kinds of other things. Mm-hmm. And so it's not about which idea is better. It's about which one you're actually going to commit to for 10 years.
You know what I think everybody should do? A little assignment I would suggest, just maybe based on my own little whims and what I've been kind of into lately, is there's a really good Netflix documentary called The Founder. It's not a documentary, it's a movie. It's scripted. You guys seen it?
Yeah,
it's on my list.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it yet, but I have it. It's on my list.
Yeah, I recommend watching that just to get just to increase your business IQ a little bit, and and what you want to kind of, maybe one of the many things you could pay attention to is it's all about the creation of McDonald's, the McDonald's Corporation, and the thing that's interesting to me about the documentary was how McDonald's could have been a lot of things. It could have been, one just really bad, unprofitable, crappy little restaurant. It could have been one really well-run restaurant, which is what the McDonald's brothers created when they developed their system, where they went from, producing their fast food in 30 minutes to producing it in 30 seconds, right? Like that was the innovation that drove everything, right? Or it could have become what it became, which was this global, massive economic superpower that it is today. All of these things came down to, the vision and mindset of those who were part of the seminal stages of of McDonald's initial development and growth. It also teaches you a lot about just, business savvy and ambition and perspective, and how that can shape where you end up on the business deal. I mean, it's all about how Ray Kroc basically pushed the McDonald's brothers out of the business after they're the ones who developed the system and and all that stuff. But he pushed them out because he had this vision of global expansion, right? But at the same time, you just look at that and you see where all of these guys just had a unique approach to a very basic idea. Like the idea of McDonald's was so simple. It was so simple that it was complex, and it was so simple that it became smart because it was so dumb. It was so basic. It was what burger, fries, drink. Right? Like, let's take 50 things off the menu. We're gonna give you a burger, fries, and a drink, and some paper, and we're taking everything else off the table, which allows us to do this profitably and efficiently and very quickly. And then we're going to mass produce this. Just brilliant, right? And so I think that what that speaks to is, when you're talking about trying to get your business idea moving, sometimes we get caught up in these complex scenarios. Oh, I could try this and I could add that and I could consider doing this and throw that. Maybe finding something very basic that even a 5-year-old can understand, setting it up, in an appropriate way where you have a product that can be distributed to a customer, and then it's rinse and repeat. Like that first billion for McDonald's was made off of orders that were an average of about $1.50 a piece or something crazy like that, right? So they weren't making insane amounts of money on each deal. They were doing tiny little deals over and over and over again. And, so that's what I would suggest everybody does, because what they're saying is right. There's so many, it gets exciting to have all these ideas, and you can't fully develop every single idea that you have. You got to commit at some point to something very basic and use that to make your first dollar, and then you grow from there.
Yeah, I agree.
Danita. So we're at 7:57. We respect the families of everybody here. So Danita, I'm going to put you in